This is a demo of pioscript running on the Raspberry Pi. You can see I've already got it installed, and I've also attached a pibrella to my Pi. That's just to give me some instant inputs and outputs. So you can see I've got 3 LEDs, a big red push button, and there's also a second switch here that's attached to input D of the pibrella. So let's write a very simple script just to light an LED when the switch is pressed. We'll use Nano, which is the editor that comes with Raspbian, and we'll call the script myTest. First thing we define is a main activity, which is the one that always runs when you first start the script. And we'll tell it we're using a pibrella. And what we want to do is start a second activity called myLEDTest, and then we want the script to exit when the red button is pressed. So wait, press button and exit. So we just need to define what myLEDTest is. So we create a second activity, and what this does is wait for you to press the switch on input D and then turn on the amber LED, and then wait for you to release the switch and turn the LED off. And then we'll just tell it to repeat, which will go back to the start of that activity. So let's just save that, and then we'll see if it works. So pioscript myTest. So the script is now running, and let's see what happens when I press the switch. There you are, you can see the LED lights, and then when I release the switch the LED turns off. And when I press the red button, hopefully the script should exit. There we go. I've disconnected the switch from input D now, and I've wired a photoresistor into input A and output E instead. It uses both an input and an output because you're measuring an analog value using a digital input, and the way to do that is you wire a 1 microfarad capacitor in series with the photoresistor. You can see that it's built into this lead to make it primary school friendly, and I've also put a 6k resistor across the capacitor just to drop the input voltage because the outputs are 5 volts on the pibrella. So let's write our second script. We'll call it myTest2. We have our main activity again, and we're using the pibrella add-on. We'll start a second activity, which we'll call measure this time, and as before we'll wait for the button to be pressed and then exit the script. So our measure activity is just going to read an input. This command is specifically meant for reading analog input, so it takes 2 parameters, the input and the output pins, which in our case are input A and output E. That stores the value read in the $input variable, so we'll just print that to the screen and have a small delay and then repeat. So let's save that now and run it. You can see that's now picking up the value from the photoresistor. If I hold it up to the light, which is just out of shot above the Pi, you can see it reads 100, which is full brightness, and then if I point it away from the light you can see the value drops off. And if I cover the end it should drop even more, until if I completely cover it it will go right down to 0, which is black. So you can see it's quite sensitive. So that's how you use a photoresistor with pioscript. And now for a more complicated example, You can see I've attached 4 big bright buttons to the 4 inputs on the Pibrella, and there are also 4 LEDs which you can just see above the buttons connected to the 4 outputs. So I'm using all 4 inputs, all 4 outputs, and I'm also using the internal buzzer to play notes. What I've created is a memory game, and that comes with the pioscript install. So if you go into the scripts directory, you'll see a script called Pibrella Simon, and if you run that, Pibrella Simon, you'll see that has an attract mode, so it's waiting for you to start a new game, and then if you press any button the game will start and you'll hear the notes coming out of the buzzer. So I'll repeat the sequence and then it adds 1 to the sequence, and as long as I keep getting that right it will carry on. If I get it wrong, the game will finish. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the quick demo of pioscript. Please go and download it from the GitHub website and have a play.